Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and as of this recording we are just finishing up with the Thanksgiving holiday here in Canada. So for anyone who was celebrating that, happy belated Thanksgiving to you. For anyone who has not had that celebration in their country yet, well, happy early Thanksgiving to you, man. And today we're going to focus on her. This is the studio series Shatter, and I've heard nothing but terrible things. Is she as bad as everyone says? Well, we're about to find out when we take a look at her in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, that's right, man, hit that notification bell because it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Everything from stop motion premieres to countdowns to the live shows to reviews like these. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, the Autobot family, and have a look for me everywhere across social media. And this is the studio series Shatter. And like, there are aspects that I like about this, but then there's some weird robot proportions, there's some articulation limitations, some peculiarities with transformation, and kind of a really odd head sculpt. This is a mixed bag at the absolute best, and perhaps the worst part is that she's noted as having several tolerance issues. Does my copy have those tolerance issues? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table to see if Shatter shatters. And here is the sultry, seductive Studio Series 40 Shatter. And let's hope that she doesn't shatter. It doesn't look like Shatter. This does not look like the character to me. There's a lot that's off here. And perhaps the best way to kind of explain why I say that is to begin by looking at the box first. And here we have the box, and we can see an image of Shatter down here, and yeah, that pretty much looks like Shatter, the way I remember her. We also have an image of her on this side, and we have an image of her over here. We're going to look at that closer in a moment. And back here we have the product images for the toy. Now, to be fair, my box is a little banged up because this was my second Shatter that I had. The first one had a QC issue, and honestly, until Siege and Studio Series, I've never ever had to return anything for a QC issue. It bothers me that I'm having to return things now. I've never had to do it before. I don't like starting doing it now. I find it annoying. And basically one of the feet, it's like it was glued into place, like it would not budge, and I worked at it and I worked at it. However, what's really unfortunate is that I feel like other joints were toleranced better on that copy. We'll talk about that in a bit. Nevertheless, when I think of Shatter, I think of kind of this image. Now, to be fair, this is still a bit stylized. There should not be as much red on the upper thighs. It's more out on the side instead of across the thigh. And you'll notice that we have tires up behind her shoulders in this image. By rights, that should be, I think, like engine intakes for her plane mode. However, you'll notice that the face is mostly silver. She has like a red, hat on, we'll say. That's her battle mask. I don't remember seeing it come down over her face in the film, but apparently, maybe it did. When I think of Shatter, I think of this face sculpt. You'll also notice that her chest has the, I guess the car grill sections angled down. Keep those two things in mind, the head and the sections of the grill angled down. But before we get to the figure itself, we have some iffy, questionable instructions. They're okay, they do the best they can, but this figure is so fiddly and finicky that it does not lend itself well to instructions. She also comes with two of these blaster pieces. They are pegged on her forearm. They're pegged onto the red of the forearm in robot mode. But on the other side of the forearm, the silver gunmetal gray side, there's also a 5mm peg, and that's where they go in car mode. Speaking of the figure, here she is, and where do I even begin with this? Because there's so much here to kind of unravel. I feel like Right away we have to talk about the head sculpt. I know it's supposed to be the head sculpt with the battle mask, but I would never ever see this and guess in a million years it's Shatter. The sides of the chest are not angled down, like the grill does not angle down on the sides. The legs arguably have too much red on them. The red should be more on the outside of the leg rather than, say, fully across the thigh, for example. And when we see her next to Studio Series Dropkick, this is the helicopter version. I feel like she might be a little bit too bulky. Actually, I should correct that. It's not that she's too bulky, it's that he's maybe a little bit too skinny, scrawny, and malnourished. So here we have the base robot. Overall aesthetic for Shatter, I'm going to say 6 because I don't think it embodies it that great. I'm glad to add it to my collection because I want the character represented, but I'm not going to pretend that this is a great representation of her, at least by my estimation so far. I would call 6 a weak start. In terms of her articulation, we have left, right, up, down. The arms, they can go, by rights they can go all the way around. But it depends on these pieces. It's like they can stay folded down or you can fold these up. They do like to pop off. The shoulders also like to pop off. The first copy of the mold I had was toleranced better. We do have a bend to 90 degrees. We do have a bicep swivel, nothing at the wrist, no waist. The kicks forward are great. You can do high kicks forward all day long. The backward motion, not much, almost non-existent. We have a knee to 90 degrees, forward and back at the ankle. We do have a swivel, but it's just above the knee rather than kind of up in the thigh. And the hips out to the side, that's it. What you see here is as far out to the side as I can get her hips. That bothers me. I don't like that, honestly. And I don't have the back tires flipped in correctly on that side. Honestly, I think that the overall mark for her articulation is nothing great. I'm gonna say it's a 6. So far she's only getting a 6. Nothing to really get excited about. What about the transformation? Well, the transformation is where we're going to go next. Honestly, it's a bit of a mess. I'm going to try and show it the best as I can. The instructions don't show it any better. So we can begin by coming to the back. We flip these pieces up. They'll probably end up moving again as we go. We can untab. There's a little tab kind of behind her head on the neck, and it goes over a section right there. We can pick that off and sort of pick that hinge out. We can flip down the trunk and the rear bumper, and then we can take this whole back section out and line it up. And that's really the roof back section of the car done. We want to try and keep this sort of out of the way because now we need to deal with flipping in the head, and it's a bit of a nuisance. The instructions say to put the head, just angle it back like she's looking up at the stars and then flip it back. But like that's simplifying it. It's not as simple as that. So we'll take this piece down and we'll start flipping this back. I'm going to tell you now, it's a bit of a nuisance to do just because it's tight. It's a tight tolerance section. I'm doing it the best I can here for you folks. There, you get it around and now we have the whole kind of hood section done. That's where we're to so far. In terms of the shoulders now, we can pick this up and we can pick this up. And we can take this whole section and angle it up. Her head now is in underneath there. We'll also angle this section back. Now we need to bring the shoulders in, and this is where things get very fiddly and not fun because the shoulders like to pop off. Straighten out the arms, and if you haven't, I gotta stand her up. If you haven't done so, remove her arm blaster sections and we'll just lay them to the side. Okay, so trying to pick things up here, we're going to flip out these two sections on the thighs because that lets us sort of angle this up and in position a little bit better. And it makes things slightly more solid because they're the doors on the side of the vehicle, and it lets us sort of angle up the hood over right here, and all of this is kind of held into position now. Now that things are somewhat solid, we can bring the shoulders in. I would advise, because they do like to pop off, I would advise at this point, honestly, holding in on the shoulder and bringing the whole ball joint forward. And once you have it in, you should be able to hold onto the tire and flip back the red section. It's not fun to do. I'm not going to pretend it is. See if we can get this side in. Yep. Holding onto the tire. Flip the whole red section back and out of the way. And next we should be able to kind of bring these sections up here on the side and up here on the side. I have a nasty stress mark over on this one, a nasty one. I don't like that these fold up. They are two pieces that also love to pop off. Fun fact, I've only done this conversion once without popping pieces off. Let's see if I can do it this time. So you bring those up and then they tab in on the side of the hood, on both sides of the hood. And that's kind of what we have so far. We come around here again to the front and we position the arms such that the red part of the forearm is facing inside. And then we come down to the legs, because that's where we're to now. Before we put these pieces in, they'll be our last piece, let's deal with the legs. And really we rotate around, and now you need to try and angle it so that it gets around. And these little tabs will interlock with each other by rights. Hopefully they'll do it here. Then we come to the leg and we flip out this whole tire and straighten it up on that hinge and leave it flayed out to the side while we flip up the ankle, and then we can bring that tire section down. On the other side we will do the same thing. We come over, we rotate the entire thing around, we try and line up the little tabs and notches, we fold out the tire, straighten it up on the hinge, and fold in the foot. This whole piece is coming down. We want to push it up behind the feet, so like the feet are in front of it. Then we can start tabbing things in. We're going to tab the back sections into the bumper here, and hopefully it'll tab in nicely. There's a little red tab right there that should just fit in behind the bumper. That should work on hopefully both sides. And then we can come up here and tab that section in. We come over on this side and we try and straighten things up and tab that little red section in. And then those two, I don't know what we call them, blasters I suppose from earlier. Now you're going to take them and you're going to tab them on the other side of the forearm, we'll say the outside of the forearm. Maybe I'm doing it the wrong way. I don't think so. No, there we go, that side. And over here, we'll do the same thing on this side, like that. And really, boom, in the end, here we have Shatter in her car mode. If you're curious what she should look like underneath, this is it. But overall, here we have the muscle car, known as Shatter in all of her glory. The transformation is a beast. I've done it a few times now, but it's not fun anytime I've done it. Like I said, I have a nasty stress mark. The arms do like to pop off. Those two fender pieces do like to pop off. Honestly, I'm going to say that her transformation is a 6. Overall, Shatter is only a 6. If you've been on the fence, like you're not invested enough in Shatter that you feel like, hey, I need her, and you're like, I don't know, will I, won't I? I think she's an easy pass. She wasn't for me because I wanted an iteration of that character. But I gotta believe and I gotta hope that somewhere down the line we're going to get something that more better represents a character that I found very engaging in the film, both because she had a certain amount of kind of like suave and class and You know, she was more sophisticated, as where Dropkick was the muscle of the duo. She's the one who had some tact until you made her mad, and then that crazy psychopath side of her came out when, you know, she had to do battle with Bee. I like the character. I just wish that I liked the toy more. And here we are once again, and here she is, and like, I'm happy to have a representation of Shatter in my collection because I dig the character. I thought it was a cool character. I wish I had a better iteration than this. If you want like a version of Shatter, if you like the character, well, then this is probably your go-to, at least for now. I would suspect that if we ever get a plain iteration, that could be better than this. I would hope that it's better than this. In terms of the look, I like the coloration, but there's certain inaccuracies to it. Certain things that are red that shouldn't be red. Certain things that are perhaps like a gunmetal gray that should really probably be silver. The head sculpt, I get it. It's her battle mask down, but I don't even remember once seeing it down. I'm sure it was, and I'm just forgetting, but when I think of Shatter, I think of the face as we see it on the packaging, and this is not that. The articulation, well, the arms are okay, but there are certain hindrances with the backpack. You can, you know, of course, bring those things up, like I said, and it does offer a little more mobility, but you have to be careful because already over on this side we have a stress mark. The legs, highly limited. Yes, we have decent movement in the feet, and they're big feet, so they help her to stand very well. The knee is a fine knee. The thigh swivel above the knee swivel is a kind of tight joint, and in terms of like outward mobility of the hips, nothing great, even though she can do terrific forward high kicks. There was potential here, but I don't think that this is a mold that should be used for another character. I think it should probably be retired because it's not that it's bad, but it's also not very good. Anyway, let me know what you think about Shatter. Did you love her? Did you have an experience that was much better than mine and what a lot of people experienced? Here's the funny thing. I think the first copy of her that I had probably had better toleranced arms, or, well, shoulders. It's too bad that ankle was glued in, I guess. I don't know. It says a lot about what the QC is like with modern day figures, and unfortunately, I feel like with the Studio Series and the Siege line, like I never had to return a figure to the store. Even if there was a little tolerance issue, I could always fix it myself or cut something or thicken up a joint or something like that. I've never, until Siege and now more recent Studio Series, I've never, ever had to return a figure to the store. I don't know. It says a lot about QC if you ask me, but that's just me. You know, I'd love to hear from you guys and what you think about her and what sort of experiences you've had with the mold for Shatter. As always, I appreciate you dropping by. Give me some of your extremely valuable time. Please, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so very, very much. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, don't forget there is a donate link down in the description. And don't forget, ever, that somehow, some way, in your own special way, each and every day, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams, at the stop motion premieres, or as always, right here, man, inside the videos.